Hey Happy Crew, HappiDaze here. In today's video, we are doing PKA level 150 plus with a INT Luffy Bonney team. Assuming you don't have any of the new batch, using some of the previous batches that came out. So let's get into the gimmicks real quick, and then I'll show you the team that we're going to be using for this. So just as a quick reminder, for 100 plus on stage 3, you have to deal with 6 turns of Rainbow Shield and 6 turns of increased defense. On battle number 4, you have to basically deal with some special reverse, some blindness, and some despair on your top row, as well as getting your slots that aren't rainbow, hint hint, what we might be using one of our characters there, to poison or to paralysis orbs. So it's the pain to deal with if you don't have one of those orb types that do get changed. It's just not fun. So try to avoid having one of those orb types. And then for battle number 5, you have the damage nullification. You have the attack down for certain slots. You have the barrier. You have 7 turns of attack down. You get 10 rows of bind on your top and bottom row. And you also get a bunch of slots to block. So just not fun to deal with. Definitely not a lot of good stuff going on here. But luckily, if you pulled a lot of the older batch, then you can pretty much get through a lot of this content with just really one support. So this is the team that we're using here. To get the content I'll walk you through in just a second. So we are using INT, Bonney, and Luffy as our captain. They have the ability to lock slots for 10 slots, which is awesome. And basically they have the ability to get rid of despair on the group. So that'll be helpful for stage number 4. And the rest of the units on here. So you have Emmett here. He's just really good for the ability of the sailor to get rid of the blindness completely on the crew. That will help again on stage number 4, and then he can also help to remove barriers on stage number 5. Kuma, always the MVP of all this content. He gives rainbow orbs at the start of the quest. With the captain of Luffy and Bonney, we can lock those for the whole quest, which is awesome. So that means you don't have to worry about the gimmicks on stage 4 or 5 related to slots. Makes it really easy to get through here. And then we have on the right hand side here, we have the VV unit who's going to help get rid of the damage reduction and the increased defense on stage number 3. And then lastly, we have the Kobe unit here who does kind of 2 dual functions on the last stage here. He helps get rid of the attack down. He also helps get rid of the death hit that's going to come. It's 150k death hit. When I was doing some testing, originally I didn't really look at my HP, but as you'll probably see when we go through here, I actually don't need him to do the death hit protection because we're going to have over 150k HP. So if you just have any unit that does more than 5 turns of attack down, you can just slot them in Kobe's spot and you will be grand. We are using a friend captain, Elbaf Luffy, to get through the content. So let's go ahead and just grab one right here. You do have to do some stalling on this team because not all the units are boosted, obviously. So what I typically like to do is try to leave the second stage with the remaining count of locked orbs turn on 5. So we'll just do some kind of quick one-taps here just so we can kind of get people a little closer. If you really had to stall an extra turn, you could actually go to where it is 4 turns left and then leave at that point, and you'd still have just enough to get through the last stage. But I like to give myself a little bit of buffer room just in case there. So we're going to do a tap for 1 more turn. And now that our lock slots are at 5 turns left, we'll just go ahead and kill pretty quickly right there. So you can see not really a problem at all. On this stage is where you get the increased defense Rainbow Shield. So go ahead and use the Vivi and Rebecca special here to help get rid of that. She takes care of 6 turns of both of those debuffs, and then basically after that you can just one tap with Luffy to kind of get through that content. So super clutch unit. If you don't have this VV Rebecca, which I think most people should because they give them for free out at some point, if you have like the Sai Swordsman Nami, Sai Kinemon and De Janeiro, there's a Dex Sanji who will do the same as well. I think there's also a quick Zoro who will do it as well, maybe. So there's a bunch of different options if you don't have that VV Rebecca to be able to get through that content. So as mentioned, we have some special rewind that happens on this stage here. The only special we're planning on using on stage 4 is Luffy's special. So that's why we have the Peckham's unit on Luffy, because when he gets his special rewound, he will basically say, oh, I'll give you 3 back, which is more than the 2 that gets rewound as part of this stage. That way we can go ahead and use our Luffy captain, get rid of that despair on the top row, and then again, it's just a one tap to get through that pretty simply. On the final stage here, this is where a lot of the gimmicks come in. So what you'll see is when we get some of the overheal from some of our units here, we'll be well above that 150k threshold, which is why I mentioned you don't really need to have the ability of Kobe to get it. To get rid of the bind on the final stage, we are going to go ahead and use the Kuma unit. He gets rid of 10 turns of bind, which is perfect, more than enough to get what we need. We'll go ahead and use Emmett to take care of the barrier. We'll use our friend Captain Luffy to help get rid of the damage nullification that's on there. And then for the 7 turns of the attack down, we'll go ahead and use our Kobe unit there. And we also get the Rainbow Shield to survive the death hit, though it's not really needed. Make sure you use everyone's EX Supers, so that way you recharge the abilities of both Kuma and the Captain here. So you can see, actually I might be just a little bit short HP-wise. So, actually no, with Overkill, I do have 180k. So yeah, you can see I'm actually good on having enough HP to not have to worry about having Kobe do that. So again, you can replace that Kobe with any 6-turn plus attack down remover, and it'll work just as good as what you see here. So now we're ready to go. Basically just a 2-tap here, and boom, just like that, we're able to beat the boss. Again, we have the Rainbow Shield, but we don't really need it, and it makes it really easy to get through the content. So again, Kuma, Emmett, Luffy are just the MVPs since they've come out. They're really awesome for getting through content. Really help you get through, especially content that changes orbs or has bad effects depending on what orbs you have. They're just kind of the clutch MVPs. Hope you guys liked this video. Hope you guys can use this to go ahead and get to at least level 150 plus PKA. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below. And as always, until next time, be kind to each other. Thanks.